Hi friends, I'm Gio, and welcome to my channel. This story is called I Shut Him Up with a Kiss. And for some of you it might seem familiar. It was on my other channel, but I've cleaned it up a little bit. Let's get started. There is one really good thing about working at Bishop Games. Kyle. I dumped the box of cables onto the floor, searching for the right lengths. Kyle's a couple years older than me, an inch or two shorter, blonde hair, blue eyes, with 3 silver hoops in his right ear. Call me Oakley, and I might be 21. I might have gotten my associate's degree in computer tech. And I might have gotten my dream job 2 weeks ago. But I'm the newbie. The closest person here to my age is a woman named Cindy, and she is amazing with backgrounds. The oldest is Gladys. Kyle is 26. This box doesn't have what I'm looking for, so I headed for another. Kyle graduated college with a bachelor's degree in computer science, minoring in business. Lean, tight body. I've heard him talking to the guys about his morning parkour workout. 2 miles jogging and sprinting over anything. Half an hour at this odd metal sculpture downtown working out. Then another 2 miles jogging here. I dumped the box out and found the longer cable I'm looking for. I get here early, every morning, so I can watch him arrive. He's also the guy that hired me a couple of weeks ago, as in Kyle Bishop, owner, head creator, lead programmer. Bishop Games is his brainchild, which he started 3 years ago. Except for my job interview and the obligatory daily, "Hi," we've never spoken. Kyle employs 10 people, including me. He hired me to do the dirty work, as in crawl under all the tables, fixing and adjusting cords, squeezing in the strangest places to adjust cables, or fix the network, or fix the Wi-Fi, or fix whatever went wrong. I don't mind getting dirty. Kyle jogged up, the morning light tinting his body, and he paused at a bus stop bench. He took hold of it, curled inward until he stood on the bench, on his hands. Then he straightened his legs. He did a full unassisted handstand on the bus stop, holding the pose for 30 seconds before lowering himself to the ground. Every muscle, every rib, every part of his sweaty body stood out. Because I'm getting oily or dusty or dirty every day, I'm usually in old sneakers, old cut-off shorts made from old jeans, and a t-shirt, while everybody else wears business casual. Nobody here minds what I wear, as long as I'm the one getting dirty. Today, fashion-conscious me is in a white t-shirt with all natural written on it in big purple letters, and an arrow pointing down. I'm kneeling in our small foyer, because that is the biggest open space in our offices, sorting cables into piles by length or type, when Kyle got to the door. Kyle was naked to the waist, wearing blue jogging shorts, shoes, and a backpack. To make my torment worse, he was sweating and panting. The light glistened off his nicely toned body. It's enough to make me excited. Sitting in front of the door with piles of cords around me, my face already smudged, and getting ready to crawl under the tables to hook up the new router is a bad way to impress my new boss. We nodded, and I moved the cables out of the way so he could open the door. As Kyle entered, I stammered as I climbed to my feet. "Sorry, sir. This was the biggest space, and I was going to have it cleaned up before anyone got here. I guess I lost track of the time. It won't happen again." Kyle was only 2 feet away from me. He raised his hand to run it through his sweat-dampened hair. "I appreciate the initiative, but I need it cleaned up. Someone from Robertson Graphics is on their way over to make a presentation for a joint project. We have 30 minutes before the meeting." "Yes, sir," I said. Kyle's chest was smooth and hairless. even around his navel. He must shave it, or did the laser hair removal thing. The sweat soaked into his blue shorts, and as much as I wanted to stare, I forced my eyes to meet his. "I'll need 10 minutes to get the new cable hooked up. Then I'll hide the others." "Thanks," Kyle said, and gave me a nod and a smile. "While you're at it, straighten the place up a little, because it looks like video game addicts live here." My heart raced like a subway car, and my eyes began to wander down his face. Did he notice my eyes slipped and looked at his nicely formed pecs, his smooth stomach, the edge of the black briefs peeking out from his blue shorts? "Anyone else here yet?" Kyle said. "No, sir," I said, "but I'm sure they'll be here soon." "You're kidding. I sent texts this morning telling everybody to be here. Did you get it?" Kyle said. "One of the reasons I came in early," I said. "Good." Kyle never noticed where I looked. "I found some high-speed, gold-plated Ethernet cables that's supposed to cut down on interference and run faster." "You're not doing wireless?" Kyle asked. "I'm hoping a direct Ethernet connection with the router will remove the interference we get from the cell tower next door. If it works, we'll have a much cleaner connection, and faster too," I said. "If it works, tell me the cables you need and we'll order them. But right now, do me a favor. After your cable is hooked up and everything is cleaned up, get the coffee started," Kyle said, reaching into his pack and pulling out his wallet. "Then run down and grab 24 bagels and cream cheese. I was going to do it on my way, but they had a crowd. We have to make a good impression if we want this account. And I want this account. I'm going to go change clothes." He handed me $40. "Yes, sir," I said. "Oakley, drop the sir. I'm not that much older than you," Kyle said, and smiled again. His eyes left mine a moment and traveled to my chest, then back to my eyes. He gave a small sigh as he glanced at what I was wearing. "You call me sir again, I'll find something even worse for you to work on." "Yes, boss," I said. "Better. We're all friends here," Kyle said, stepping over the cables. He made his way past the terminals and the workstation, to the back and the restrooms. I checked the time on my phone. The others should arrive any time now, which meant I needed to hurry if I had to buy bagels too. Nirvana Bagels was only a block away. I found the longest cord I could for the primary network connections with the farthest computer. My computer. It meant a 20-foot crawl under the workstations with the new cable and a 20-foot crawl back, untangling the old cable from everything. Time was wasting away. I hooked up one end to the router and started crawling. My coworkers are pigs. Potato chip bags, old gum, sandwich bags, an unopened condom package. How did that get down here? I put it in my pocket. At the end of the crawl, my knees ached. Damn, I was 3 inches short. I tugged on the cord very gently. It stretched out just enough to connect to the computer. I crawled back out, gathering the old cable as I went, but near the end of my crawl, my shoe tangled in a cord. I banged my head on a table leg, jerked forward to get my shoe unstuck, and face-planted on my nose. Sharp pain shot through my face, and my eyes leaked so bad I couldn't see. My nose felt like it had been punched by a cement truck. And the pain exploded. Something warm and sticky shot down the lower part of my face. Blood from my nose. Trying to pinch my nose shut, I tried to crawl out, one-handed. My nose kept bleeding. Had I broken my nose? It hurt so bad. So much blood. Crap, blood makes me dizzy, especially my own. I have to get to the bathroom and get some paper towels before I bleed all over the floor. I held my aching nose with one hand and crawled as fast as I could to get out. The blood clogged my nose. I couldn't breathe. Finally, I found the end of the tables and crawled out. Freedom. Crouching to catch the blood in my hands and shirt, I ran to the bathroom, holding my nose. I barged in on my boss. He wore slacks and shoes and a nice linen shirt, unbuttoned. The remains of shaving cream covered his face. His body was damp. A washcloth sat on the sink next to him. He held a straight razor and was about to finish shaving. I froze, one hand trying to stop the blood, the other holding the door. I tried to breathe, but the blood bubbled out of my mouth. A wave of dizziness washed over me. "Oakley, what happened?" Kyle said. Diving for the paper towels, I grabbed a wad and tried to plug my nose, mumbling, "Fell." "Tilt your head back," Kyle said. "Let me see." I did as he said. Gently, he packed my nose with tissue and felt along the bridge. "Dizzy?" Kyle asked. "A little," I said. My boss possessed amazing pecs, and I stood inches away from him. His shirt slipped a little off one shoulder, displaying the tight detail of his collarbones, and opened a little to show his abs. "It doesn't feel like anything's broken," Kyle said. "Just a second." Kyle ran out of the bathroom and came back with a chair. He made me sit down and tilted my head. I tried very hard not to stare through the open shirt at his chest. "What's wrong?" Kyle said. I guess I was too high on panic and adrenaline because I blurted out the truth. "You're my boss and you're still dressing, and I'm gay and you're hot, and I'm afraid I'll say something inappropriate and make you uncomfortable, and I'm bleeding all over the place and you have a meeting in a few minutes." I would have given Kyle a pathetic grin, but his hands felt along my nose. "Close your eyes and calm down," Kyle said. "Tell me what happened." "I was crawling under the tables," I said, and told Kyle the whole story. I even showed him the condom. My blood stained Kyle's shirt. "I am so sorry," I mumbled. Kyle looked down and for the first time noticed the mess I had made. "He'll fire me or dock my pay or put me on permanent bathroom duty. I'll never get a good recommendation for a future job. I'll never get to work on a cool project." Kyle shook his head a little and frowned. "I've ruined your chance today, haven't I?" I said. My voice sounded nasally, and my mouth tasted of blood. "Feel any better?" Kyle asked. He took a paper towel, wet it, and wiped at the blood on my face. "A little," I said. Because my nose was plugged, my voice sounded like an out-of-tune French horn. "I'm sorry, I didn't get the cables cleaned up," I said. Kyle got another paper towel and cleaned the blood off my face, his touch gentle, a soft half-smile on his lips. "We'll manage. There's something I might as well share." "What's that?" I asked. Kyle's touch was feather soft. He got another wet paper towel and wiped the blood on my chin. "I'm gay too." "I didn't know," I said. "I don't hide it, but I also don't advertise," Kyle said. "I have an extra t-shirt in my bag you can use today. You feel up to changing, and we'll take a look at the cables?" Our eyes connected, and I bit my lip. My heart sped up. I licked my lips. Something electric passed through me, and I swear I heard some choir sing, and the light glowed around him. It's like we met for the first time, not as boss and employee, but more like two instant friends. Kyle was kind, good-looking, well-built, smart, athletic, nicely dressed. Well, almost dressed. And he had a gentle touch and a kind voice. I'll admit it, I developed a crush on him right then and there. And he was my boss. "I said," Kyle said, "I have an extra shirt you can wear." Did he notice me staring? Did he notice how nervous he made me? I took a deep breath. Did Kyle know I wanted to kiss him? "What will you wear?" I somehow said. Kyle took his blood-stained shirt off and stood shirtless before me and examined my nose. Whatever cologne he used smelled very good. "I've got something in the other room," Kyle said. "It's more casual than I wanted, but it will do. If you start feeling better, the t-shirt is in my bag. Otherwise, I want you to sit still for a few minutes." The cables were still out. I might have dripped blood everywhere, and I walked in on my boss while he was changing. At least Kyle would never forget me, especially when it came time to fire somebody. But Kyle was gay, like me. Suddenly, it seemed like we belonged to the same club. The bleeding stopped, but the mirror showed me as a bloody mess. Blood made a giant smear on the lower half of my face, and my nose had swollen, and my shirt had an enormous blood stain on the front. Bloody handprints were on the sink, and a little bit of blood had splattered on the floor. I got up, removed my bloody shirt, and placed it in the sink with hot soapy water. With another paper towel, I cleaned the rest of the blood off me. I looked almost normal, as long as no one looked at the wads of tissue in my nose. All the blood made me dizzy, so I sat back down and placed my head between my knees. I've never been good with blood. "You okay?" Kyle said, entering. He wore a vintage t-shirt of some old sci-fi movie, but wore the jacket and pants from the suit, and his running shoes. "A little dizzy," I said. Kyle went to his bag and pulled the other shirt out. Kyle's hand was firm as he helped me up and checked my nose. He must have worn the shirt earlier because it smelled like his cologne. Kyle helped me put it on, easing it past my nose, then straightened it on me. "There you go. Almost as good as new," Kyle said. "I'll get the coffee started." "Does anyone else here know you're gay?" I asked. "Probably," Kyle said. "My ex-boyfriend used to come around." "Ex? What happened?" I asked. Kyle's mouth narrowed and his lower lip quivered. "I spent so much time making this place a priority that I forgot that I needed to make us a priority too." He moved on. "I'm sorry," I said. "You haven't dated or seen anybody since?" "This is my life now," Kyle said, and gave me a sad, lopsided smile. "I wish I could change things." Kyle paused and stared at nothing. "I'll get the cords put away," I said, changing the subject. "Do you still want bagels?" "If you feel up to it," Kyle said. We were in the open area with the cables when Gladys walked in. Kyle's receptionist, secretary, appointment scheduler, and one of the programmers. Middle-aged, sensible shoes, and she never smiled. She was also a whiz at environmental effects and spatial dimensions. She looked at Kyle, all dressed up, then at me, all dressed down with tissue stuffed up my nose, and said, "That's a good way to impress our guests." I sighed and hid the cables away. At lunchtime, I still had a job. The meeting had gone well, so I worked up the courage and walked past Gladys's frown and into Kyle's office. "You got time for lunch? I'm buying." "Trying to impress your boss?" Kyle joked. "No, just trying to say thank you for this morning," I said. Kyle paused a moment, staring at his computer screen. His hand hovered over the mouse, then he sat up straight. A small half-smile played on his lips. He shut the computer down. "What did you have in mind?" "Sandwich shop about 2 blocks away," I said. "We can walk there." Gladys glared at us as we left, her mouth a stern, flat line. She folded her arms as we walked out the door. "Is this a date?" Kyle asked, as we got about a block away. "If I said yes," I said, "would it be inappropriate because you're my boss? Or should I say no and say it's a working lunch?" Kyle smiled and said, "Let's see what happens." We spoke about work, about college, about movies, and it was an hour and a half before we got back. Gladys glanced up as we entered, then at the clock on the wall. "Mr. Henderson wants you to call him as soon as you get back from..." She paused and sighed. "Lunch." "I'll see you later, Oakley," Kyle said. The next day, Kyle came up to me, fighting a nervous smile. "Do you want to do lunch again?" We went to lunch at this nearby pizza place. When we got back, Gladys drummed her fingers on the desk. The day after that, I asked Kyle if he wanted to go to this Mexican place. He was leading me out the door a second later. When we got back, Gladys pursed her lips and frowned. "I need you to take a look at the new program. It's glitchy." The day after that, we went to sushi. Gladys stared at me as we returned. "When are you going to hook my computer up to the new system?" Each day, we dined at a different place. When we ran out of places we could walk to, we started over. I still got there early, installing the new cables, or updates, or new programs. Kyle always jogged in, shirtless. He didn't seem to mind if I stared, because he stared back. We'd gone out for sandwiches for the third time and talked about anything and everything. When we'd gone back to work, we were holding hands. Just outside the door, we looked at each other. We drew closer. Our kiss lasted only a moment. We walked back in, smiling at each other. Gladys had seen us kissing, and she frowned. "Kyle, you've got 2 calls you need to return, and Oakley, something's wrong with the Wi-Fi." "I'll get on it," we both said simultaneously. Friday. Kyle was on the phone non-stop 4 hours. We missed lunch. I went out and got him a slice to go. He mumbled thanks. I pretended not to notice Gladys's scowl as I walked out of his office. She got on her phone, glaring at me as I walked away. Near the end of the day, I found a note. "I'll meet you for dinner tomorrow night at the Regal. I've made reservations for 6. Love, Kyle. P.S. Dress up. P.P.S. Can you take me home? My car is in the shop." The Regal was a fine dining place located at the top of one of the hotels, and it overlooked the Vegas Strip. It required a suit coat, nice shirt, shined shoes. They had valet parking. Something about the note made me suppress a smile. I reread the note. Did Kyle just say he loved me? Did he mean for me to take him back to my place, or back to his? I spent all Saturday worrying about what to wear. I even bought a new jacket and vacuumed my car. I'd never been to a place this high class before. I arrived 10 minutes early, and the valet took my car and keys. I walked inside the hotel, took the elevator to the top floor, and stepped out into paradise on earth. The Regal was fine dining at its most expensive. Beige walls with wooden trim, floor-to-ceiling windows that showcased the Vegas Strip, black lacquered tables, white tablecloths, and polished silverware. It had gold mirrors everywhere, making the place seem larger. Somebody came up to me. "Can I be of assistance?" "Do you have a table reserved for Kyle and Oakley?" I asked. "This way. Your other party hasn't arrived yet, but the champagne is on ice and will be opened whenever you are ready," the man said. Was he the host? In fine restaurants they call it, what was that French word? Maitre d'? "Champagne?" I asked. The maitre d' took me to a table by a window and said, "A 1994 French vintage. The person you're meeting must know his wines." Kyle arrived 5 minutes later. Black suit, light blue tie, pale gray shirt. He wore 3 gold studs in his ear. Kyle cleaned up sexy. I rose as he approached, smiling. "Good to see you. Thanks for inviting me." Kyle kissed my cheek and we both took our seats. "I thought you invited me," I said. He got out his invite. I got out mine, and we read them. His said, "Kyle, you work too hard. Meet me for a romantic date at the Regal, 6 p.m. Love, Oakley. P.S. Don't bring your car. I'll take you home." We stared at each other. Then Kyle raised his hand to call the waiter over. "Yes, sir," the waiter said. "Can you tell me who made the reservations tonight?" Kyle asked. "Is there a problem?" the waiter said. "There's not a problem," I said. "We're just curious." "Neither of you need to worry," the waiter said, eyes twinkling. "Everything has been paid for." "Who paid?" Kyle asked. "I'm not at liberty to say. Shall I open your champagne now?" the waiter said. The next 2 hours were spent talking, drinking champagne, and for dinner I had a salad that unfolded as I ate it, creating a focal design with cranberries and crushed nuts in some kind of raspberry dressing. Then came a steak so tender and juicy that it didn't require any effort to cut. And for dessert, Kyle and I split a chocolate pie that was almost like eating air. They had a dance floor and a live band. We slow danced the rest of the night. I drove Kyle back to his condo. I had a really good time tonight. Kyle took my hand and bit his lip. An emotion played across his face. "What's going on?" I asked. I've made so many mistakes, Kyle said. I promise I won't make them with you. I'm confused. What do you mean? Was tonight a mistake? I asked. Kyle looked at me, his eyes shining and earnest. If we do this, have a relationship. I think we already are in a relationship, I said. This is coming out wrong, Kyle said. Start over, I said. The mistake I made before was that I spent so much time on Bishop games that I neglected the most important thing in my life, Kyle said. I won't neglect you, I promise. What about those days you have to work late? I said, flirting just a little bit. Maybe you need to rescue, Kyle started to say. I shut him up with a kiss. Monday morning. I was in front of the door at work, sorting cables again, when Kyle entered. Shirtless, sweating, panting, smiling, and too sexy for my own good. What should we tell everybody? Do you think they'll notice? He said. We'll pretend nothing happened, I flirted back. He slid my t-shirt off. Nobody's here. We kissed, but I think it lasted longer than we thought it would, because the others stood outside the door and were watching us. We stepped out of the way, and the entire staff entered. Everybody was smiling or snickering, except Gladys. Yep, it worked, Gladys said. She turned to the other employees. Pay up. Everybody pulled out their wallets or purses, and each person handed Gladys a $20 bill. What's going on? Kyle asked. Gladys won the betting pool, somebody said. Betting pool? I said. We all bet how long it would take for you to start dating, Gladys said. Each one of us chose a different date, but mine was the earliest. Saturday, Kyle said. At the Regal. You paid for that? It must have been expensive. You two were moving so slow. You forced me to push things along. I hate losing, Gladys said. That's cheating, someone said. Maybe, Gladys said, and for the first time since I had met her, she smiled. But I won. So did we, Kyle said, and kissed me. Did I mention that we were both shirtless and blushing? A little side note. 5 months later, the lease on my apartment ran out. Good thing I had already moved in with Kyle. Another side note. When two guys are about to get married, is it called a men shower or a bachelor shower? Or is it just an excuse for a party? Whatever you call it. Gladys hosted. The end. Thanks for joining me, everybody. We'll see you next time. Peace.